A kind girl paid for food for a rich man who was pretending to be poor. A few days later, she got a big surprise from the bank. In today's heartwarming story, we follow the unexpected journey of a kind waitress and a millionaire hiding in plain sight. What begins as a simple act of generosity turns into a powerful story of love, second chances, and the courage to start over. Get ready to feel inspired, moved, and reminded that sometimes the most meaningful connections come from the most unlikely places. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this unforgettable story that proves kindness can truly change everything. The rain had stopped, and the streets were shiny under the soft streetlights. Fred Shelton pulled his coat tight. The cold wind went through the fabric as he walked without a plan. His steps made light sounds in the quiet city. He didn't know how far he had walked, only that his office and the busy day felt far away now. He put his hand in his pocket like usual, but then he remembered his phone and wallet were still on his desk. He had left them there when he quickly walked out, trying to get away from all the phone calls and emails. Up ahead, a small neon sign blinked. It said, Millie's Diner. The little diner looked warm and safe, the kind of place tired people went to feel better. The windows glowed gently. Inside, the floor had checkered tiles. The booths were red and worn, and quiet conversations filled the room. Fred opened the door without thinking. A small bell rang when he walked in. The diner smelled like coffee and fried food, a nice change from the fancy restaurants he usually visited for work dinners. A waitress moved quickly between tables. She looked a bit tired, but she smiled. Her dark hair was in a ponytail, and her eyes were sharp even though she looked worn out. Fred stopped near the counter, now aware that he looked messy and had no money or phone. The waitress came over with a smile and a small notebook in her hand. "Sit wherever you want," she said kindly but quickly, like she had many things to do. Fred sat down in the farthest booth. He fixed his tie, even though it didn't matter now. Soon the waitress came back with a menu in her hand. "Long day?" she asked, putting the menu on the table before he even touched it. Fred gave a tired laugh. "You could say that." She looked at him a little longer, like she could tell he was really tired deep inside. "Coffee?" she offered. "Yes, thanks," he said, happy for something simple. She walked away to get it, and he looked around the diner. The walls had old pictures, and the specials were written with chalk in fun writing. It wasn't fancy, but it felt real. It reminded Fred of easier times he had almost forgotten. She came back with the coffee in a chipped mug. "Want anything else?" she asked, opening her notebook. Fred reached for his back pocket, but stopped. He had no wallet. It hit him hard. He cleared his throat and said, "Actually, I have a problem. I just remembered. I left my wallet at the office." Her pen stopped in the air. Fred got ready for her to tell him no or ask him to leave. But instead, she looked at him gently. "No turkey club then, huh? I'm sorry. Maybe I can figure something out," he said, pointing toward the door, feeling embarrassed. The waitress leaned on the booth and closed her notebook. "It's just a sandwich. Not a big deal." She gave a small smile. "Looks like you had a rough day. Let me pay for this one." Fred blinked, surprised by her kindness. "You don't have to do that," he said. "I know," she replied, walking away. "But everyone needs a little help sometimes." Soon she came back with a plate of food and put it in front of him. "Enjoy," she said, and walked to another table, her ponytail swinging as she moved. Fred ate slowly, the sandwich gone bit by bit. He watched her work. She said hello to every customer by name, remembered what they liked to eat, and even gave extra pie to an old couple in the corner. She didn't just do her job well. She really cared about people. When Fred finished eating, he went to the counter with his empty coffee cup. The waitress looked up from the cash register and raised an eyebrow. "That good, huh?" Fred laughed. "Better than good. Thank you." He pointed to her name tag. "Anna, I owe you one." She waved him off. "Just come back when you have your wallet. Or don't. Whatever works." Fred stood there for a second, not sure how to say thank you. He felt a mix of being thankful and a little embarrassed. "I might do that," he finally said, giving a small smile before walking out into the night. The bell rang behind him, and as he stepped into the cold air, he felt something new, lighter, almost hopeful. The chill touched his face, but the warmth of the diner and Anna's simple kindness stayed with him long after he walked away into the city. Fred sat in his office. The city's sound was faint through the tall windows. His desk was covered in papers, contracts, and plans, but he wasn't looking at them. His eyes were on the city skyline, though he wasn't really seeing it. The numbers and deadlines didn't mean much right now. His mind was still back at Millie's diner, thinking about Anna. It wasn't about how she looked. It was about how she treated him, with kindness, without judging, honest and real. No one had done something nice for him in a long time without expecting something back. She had called it just a sandwich, but to Fred it meant a lot more. He wondered, what if she really thought he was poor? Would she still help? Or would that kindness disappear? The thought stayed with him, maybe more than it should have. Fred leaned back with a sigh. His chair creaked. He looked at the pile of work on his desk. The business could wait. For the first time, he wanted to leave all of it behind and go find something real. Maybe someone real. Fred grabbed his coat and walked out, leaving the papers and busy life behind. The bell over the diner door rang again. It broke the quiet of the slow afternoon. Fred paused in the doorway, his hand on the door. He looked around. The diner looked different now in the daylight. It was calm and bright, with golden sunlight coming through the windows. A few people sat in booths, talking quietly. The sound of dishes came from the kitchen. Anna was at the counter, putting away clean mugs. Her ponytail moved as she worked. She looked up and saw Fred. Her eyes narrowed for a second, then she smiled a little. "Back so soon?" she asked, teasing him just a bit. Fred smiled as he slid into the same booth he had used the night before. "Couldn't stay away," he said, half joking. "Though I still don't have my wallet." Anna raised an eyebrow and put a hand on her hip as she walked over. "No wallet again? Sounds like a habit." Fred laughed quietly and tried to ignore the guilt he felt. "I promise I'm not tricking you, just bad luck." Anna looked at him for a moment. Her eyes moved over his shirt, which was a little wrinkled, and the tired look in his face. "You don't seem like the usual kind of trouble we get in here," she finally said. "But you do look like you need a sandwich." Before Fred could reply, she turned and went into the kitchen. Fred leaned back against the booth. His eyes moved around the diner. There was something peaceful about the place. The soft colors, the smell of food and coffee, the slow feeling of time. It wasn't like his office. where every second was full of pressure. Here, everything felt calm, like life didn't need to be rushed. Anna came back a few minutes later, carrying a plate and a glass of water, like it was second nature. She set them in front of him with a little smile. "Turkey Club and water," she said. "Free again." Fred paused. He looked at her, trying to see if she was annoyed or tired of him. But she wasn't. Her face was the same, warm, simple, kind. "You're too nice," he said quietly. Anna shrugged and pulled a small notebook from her apron. She flipped it open. "Kindness costs less than fixing a broken door," she said, looking toward an old man sitting at the counter. "Besides, you don't seem like someone who takes advantage of others." Fred laughed quietly. "That's good. I was worried I might seem like someone trying to cheat you." Anna smiled a little, tapping her pen on her notebook. "Not really. You just look like someone trying to figure things out." Fred tilted his head, surprised by what she said. "Is it that easy to see?" "Not really," she said calmly. "But most people don't come into a diner without a wallet, unless something's on their mind." Fred didn't answer right away. He picked up his sandwich, focusing on eating instead of the heavy feeling in the air. The silence between them wasn't awkward. It felt like Anna was giving him time to speak if he wanted, but she didn't push. As he ate, Fred watched her work. She moved easily between tables, calling customers by name and remembering their orders without writing anything down. She looked confident and in control, but Fred noticed the small moments when her shoulders lowered or her smile faded when no one was watching. It wasn't just being tired. It was something deeper, a quiet strength that made Fred feel something he couldn't explain. When Anna came back to his table, Fred set down his sandwich and gave her a small smile. "You run this place really well." "Millie's has been like my second home since I was a kid," she said, looking around the diner with a soft smile. "I've had a lot of practice." Fred wanted to ask more about her life and the photos on the wall, but something in her face made him hold back. He nodded and smiled. "Thanks again for the sandwich. I really owe you." Anna waved him off as she picked up plates from another table. "Like I said, just come back when you've got your wallet, or don't. It's just a sandwich." Fred stepped outside into the cool afternoon. As the diner door shut behind him, it felt heavier than before. He stood still for a moment, staring down the street, but thinking about Anna, how she moved, how she understood people without asking too many questions. For the first time in a while, Fred felt something new. Not just thankfulness or curiosity, but a kind of peace he hadn't known he needed. He knew then he would return. Fred walked into Millie's diner again later that week. This time, he had his wallet safely in his coat. The bell rang as he opened the door. He was greeted by the sound of voices and the smell of fresh coffee. He saw Anna at the counter, laughing at something a customer said. She noticed him and raised an eyebrow as he walked to his usual booth. "Third time's the charm?" she joked, placing a menu on the table. "Let me guess, still no wallet?" Fred smiled and held up his wallet. "Not today. I came to change things up." Anna crossed her arms and looked curious. "Oh yeah? How so?" "Let me pay this time," Fred said. "Actually, better yet, let me buy you a meal." Her smile faded a little, then returned, softer. "You don't have to do that." "I know," he said gently. "But I want to." Anna looked toward the counter, where another waitress was now free. "Oh, right," she said after a moment, but only because I didn't eat lunch. Fred smiled wider as Anna pulled over a chair without an apron and sat down across from him. A few minutes later, their food arrived. He had his usual turkey sandwich. She had a big BLT. "Okay," Anna said, taking a bite. "What's your story? You've come here 3 times in 1 week. I can't be that good of a waitress." Fred laughed. "Good point. I guess I just needed a change of place." "From what?" she asked, her voice curious but kind. Fred paused, thinking about his answer. "From work, the people, and the noise," Fred said. Anna nodded while chewing. "I understand. Sometimes we all need a break, even if it's just for a sandwich at a diner." They ate quietly for a while. Then Anna asked, "So, what do you do for work?" Fred paused. The truth was hard to say. "Business," he answered, not giving much detail. "It's not as exciting as it sounds." Anna smiled a little. "You're avoiding the question." "Guilty," he said. "But I'm more curious about your story." "I've been here since I was a kid," Anna said. Her smile faded a little. "My dad used to run this place. After he died, I started working full-time to keep it open." Fred leaned forward, forgetting about his sandwich. "That's a big job." Anna shrugged. "It is, but I do it. My little brother's in college now, so at least all this work is helping someone." Fred nodded. He could hear how proud she was. "What is he studying?" "Education. He wants to be a teacher," Anna said, smiling again. "He's smart. I just want to help him finish school." Fred looked at her kindly. "And you? What's your dream?" Anna blinked, surprised by the question. "I used to paint," she said after a pause. "I still do when I have time. If I ever had the money, I'd open a small art studio. Nothing big, just a place where people could create." Fred smiled. He was impressed. "That sounds amazing. Why don't you do it?" Anna laughed softly, but there was sadness in her voice. "Dreams don't pay bills, Fred, and this place needs me." Her words stayed between them. Fred felt a small pain in his chest. She had given him her kindness and time, and he had been pretending to be poor. He was scared that if she found out the truth, everything would fall apart. "You deserve that studio," Fred said quietly. "It's your dream." Anna looked at him. "Maybe one day," she said with a small smile. "But for now, this is enough." Fred didn't say more, but her words stayed in his mind even after they finished eating. At the counter, Fred left a big tip. Anna tried to push it back. "This is too much," she said. "It's for the last 2 meals," Fred said, keeping his voice light. "And maybe for your art studio." Anna laughed. "You're very stubborn. I'll give you that." When Fred stepped outside, the cold air hit his face, but all he could think about was Anna. The way she talked, the way she really saw people. For the first time in a long while, Fred felt something new. It wasn't just interest or being thankful. It was peace, and he knew he would come back. A few days later, Fred entered Millie's diner again. This time, he had his wallet with him. The bell rang as he stepped in. The smell of coffee filled the air. He saw Anna behind the counter, laughing at a joke from a regular customer. She saw him and raised an eyebrow as he went to his usual booth. "Third time this week?" she teased. "Let me guess. Still no wallet?" Fred grinned and held up the brown leather wallet. "Not today. I came to change things." "Oh?" Anna said, crossing her arms. "And how's that?" "Let me pay this time," Fred said. "And better yet have dinner with me, my treat." Anna's smile faded a little, then came back softer. "You don't have to do that." "I know," Fred said gently. "But I want to." Anna looked toward the other waitress, who had just finished with a table. "All right," she said after a pause, "but only because I skipped lunch." Fred smiled wider as Anna took off her apron and grabbed a chair to sit across from him. Soon, their food came. He had his usual turkey sandwich. She had a BLT. "So," Anna said, starting to eat, "what's your story? You've come here 3 times this week. I can't be that good of a waitress." Fred laughed. "Good point. I guess I needed a new place to think." "Think about what?" she asked, curious but not pushy. Fred paused, trying to find the right words. Fred leaned back, holding his coffee mug in both hands. "Different? How am I different?" he asked. Anna thought for a second. "Different from the usual people who come in here. You look polished, but you don't act like it." Fred gave a soft laugh, one that sounded unsure. "Maybe. I'm just good at blending in." Anna didn't say more. She stood up and walked away to finish her work. Fred watched her as she moved around the diner, cleaning and putting things away. He wanted to say something, but he didn't know what. Telling her the truth didn't feel possible. When the last customer left, Anna grabbed her coat and walked over to Fred's table. "My shift's done," she said, brushing a loose hair behind her ear. "You staying here or heading out too?" Fred stood and put on his coat. "I'll walk you home." Anna looked surprised but nodded. "Okay, let's go." The streets were quiet. The cool air made Fred pull his coat tighter. They walked side by side, their footsteps soft on the sidewalk. "You don't have to do this," Anna said after a minute. "I've walked home alone for years. Maybe I just wanted company," Fred said, his voice soft. Anna looked at him but said nothing. They kept walking. After a while, Fred asked, "Do you ever feel stuck? Like nothing you do really matters?" Anna looked at him. "You sound like someone who's already done everything." Fred laughed a little. "Maybe. What's missing?" she asked. Fred thought for a second. "Maybe connection. Something real." Anna was quiet, then said, "You seem like someone who already has all the answers, but I guess we're all looking for something." They turned onto Anna's street. Her apartment building was up ahead. Before they got there, a voice called out, "Well, this is a surprise." Anna stopped. Her face changed quickly. A man leaned against a lamppost outside the building. He wore a sharp suit and had slicked back hair. His smile was smug. Fred didn't like him right away. The man looked at Fred, then back to Anna. "New boyfriend?" the man said, stepping forward. "You've got interesting taste." "Fred," felt Anna tense beside him. "Peter," she said, her voice tight. "Why are you here?" Peter smiled wider. "Just passing by. Didn't think I'd see you with someone new." Peter looked at Fred again. His face changed, like he recognized him. Fred stood still, his heart beating faster. Anna moved quickly. "It's late," she said. "Good night, Peter." Peter raised his hands like he was giving up. "Of course. See you around, Anna." "And you," he said, looking at Fred. "I'll be seeing you too." Fred watched Peter walk away. Something felt wrong. It wasn't over. The next night, Fred stood outside Anna's apartment again. The streetlights made long shadows on the ground. He had walked her home again, hoping things would feel normal, but they didn't. When they got near the building, Peter stepped out of the shadows again. "Well, isn't this cozy?" Peter said, hands in his pockets. "2 nights in a row? This must be serious." Anna stepped in front of Fred. "What do you want, Peter?" Peter didn't answer her. He looked right at Fred. He studied him for a moment, then smiled. "Wait, I know you," Peter said slowly. Fred's body went stiff. "I don't think we've met," Fred said. "Oh, we have," Peter replied. "Fred Matthews, CEO of Horizon Tech. You're kind of famous. Hard to forget someone from Forbes." Anna's eyes went wide. She turned to Fred. "What is he talking about?" Fred opened his mouth, but no words came out. The moment felt heavy. Every second passed slowly. Peter leaned on the lamppost with a smug smile. "What's wrong, Fred? Can't talk?" he said, then looked at Anna with fake concern. "Oh, you didn't know? Your nice dinner friend here isn't just a regular guy. He's one of the richest men in New York. Didn't think to mention that, huh, Fred?" "Anna," Fred said, his voice soft and careful. "Let me explain." "Explain?" Anna said, her voice sharp and angry. Her eyes were burning. "You lied to me the whole time. You acted like you were poor and normal." "It's not like that," Fred said quickly. "I didn't want you to judge me because of my money. I wanted something real." Anna gave a bitter laugh. "So you tested me? To see if I was good enough? Kind enough for a guy like you?" Fred shook his head and stepped closer, but Anna moved back. "No, Anna, that's not what happened." "Save it," she said. Her voice broke. She looked deeply hurt. "You made me believe you needed help. I gave you my time and trust, and it was all fake." Peter smiled as he watched them. "Classic," he said. "Rich guy playing poor just for fun." "Stay out of this," Fred snapped, louder than he meant. But it was too late. Anna's face changed. She crossed her arms. "I don't know what I expected," she said quietly, clearly upset. "But it wasn't this." She turned and walked to her building. "Anna, wait," Fred called, but the door slammed shut behind her. The sound echoed in the night. Peter clapped slowly. His smile was full of sarcasm. "Well done, Fred. Great job pretending to be a humble millionaire. Bravo." Fred turned to him, fists clenched. "What's your problem?" Peter's voice grew sharp. "My problem is you playing with someone who deserves better. Anna is a good person, and you," he pointed at Fred, "you're just another rich guy using people." Fred stared at him, feeling angry but also guilty. "You don't know me," he said. "Oh, I know enough," Peter replied. "And now Anna knows too." He turned and walked away, leaving Fred standing alone. Rain began to fall, lightly at first, then harder. It soaked through Fred's coat. He didn't move. He thought about what had just happened. Every word from Anna echoed in his mind like a cut. She was right. He had lied. Even if he thought he was doing it for the right reason, it didn't matter now. The special bond they had was broken. Slowly, Fred began to walk. His steps were heavy. The street lights blurred in the rain, just like his feelings. He had tried to protect something real, but he had destroyed it instead. And now, he didn't know how to fix it. Anna sat on the edge of her bed. The soft sound of the city came through the window. Her bedside lamp made long shadows on the wall, but her mind was far away. She kept thinking about what had happened. Fred's words played over and over in her head. I wanted something real. Real, she whispered to herself, then scoffed. Everything felt fake now. Every smile, every laugh, all seemed like part of a big lie. Her chest hurt when she thought of Fred. She had started to care about him. Her phone buzzed. She looked at the screen. Peter's name showed up. She sighed and pressed decline. She didn't want to hear whatever smug or sneaky thing he had to say. But Peter wouldn't give up easily. The next day, when Anna walked into Millie's for her shift, Peter was already there. He was leaning on the counter, looking relaxed. Anna stopped, feeling annoyed. "What are you doing here?" she asked sharply. Peter stood up straight and gave her a smile that didn't feel real. "Just came to check on you. Last night seemed rough." "I'm fine," Anna said, walking past him. She tossed her bag under the counter, hoping he would leave. "Are you really?" he asked. His voice got softer, like he was trying to sound caring. "Anna, you deserve better than what Fred did. He tricked you and used your kindness." Anna turned and faced him, her face serious. "And what are you doing right now, Peter? You think I can't see through this act?" Peter raised his hands like he was innocent. "Hey, I'm just trying to help." "Don't," Anna snapped. "I don't need your help, and I don't want whatever you're planning. Just go." Her voice was strong, and Peter looked surprised for a second. But he quickly smiled again. "All right, Anna, have it your way." He left without saying more, but Anna felt like it wasn't the end. She was right. That evening, her phone buzzed with an alert. A coworker had sent her a link to a blog post. The title hit her like a slap. "Tech Mogul's New Game, Pretending to be Poor to Trick the Help." Anna's hands shook as she opened the link. The post was cruel. It said Fred was a rich man who played games with her for fun. It called her a gold digger and said she fell for his lies. It even talked about Millie's diner. Anna scrolled through the comments. They were even worse. People called her names, laughed at her, and made fun of her dreams. At the bottom of the post was Peter's name. He had written it. Anna sat down, her heart beating fast. She felt angry, ashamed, and confused. Fred's lie had hurt her, but this was worse. Now it was public. Now everyone could see it. Across town, Fred was staring at the same blog post. He saw it during a meeting. Now, even the quiet of his office couldn't calm him. The post was made to hurt, to ruin his name, and to drag Anna down too. Fred read the comments, each one like a punch to the gut. He slammed the tablet on his desk and ran his hands through his hair. This wasn't just about him anymore. It was about Anna. He had brought this pain into her life. Anna sat in her apartment, looking at her blank canvas. She had wanted to paint, but now her art felt useless. Her art supplies, saved up so carefully, now looked like they belonged to someone else. The harsh words from the post echoed in her head. Her dreams, her pride, and her trust all felt broken. Fred walked back and forth in his penthouse. The lights of the city outside looked cold and distant. He knew he had made mistakes. He couldn't erase them. But he also knew he couldn't let Anna go through this alone. As the blog post spread, both Anna and Fred were pulled into a storm of public attention. For Anna, it was a test of how strong she could be. For Fred, it was a wake-up call. For both of them, it was a moment that forced them to face the truth about themselves and about each other. The storm had only begun. Anna's life changed quickly after the post. Millie's diner, once her safe place, now felt like a stage with too many eyes. Regulars stopped coming. Some just stared. Others whispered behind menus. People came in not to eat, but to see the gold digger from the blog. Every time the doorbell rang, Anna felt nervous. Still, she worked hard. She kept her head up. She wouldn't let shame win. But at night, in her small apartment, the quiet felt louder. She didn't look at her canvases anymore. The cruel words from strangers stayed in her head. Meanwhile, Fred stood in his big, quiet home, looking at the city lights. His guilt was heavy. He remembered Anna's eyes when she read the post. He had seen how hurt she was. He couldn't leave it like this. So he got up and decided he had to fix it. Fred picked up his phone and called his financial advisor. "I need the debt records for a man named Foster. He passed away a few years ago. His daughter is Anna Foster. Pay off everything," Fred said in a calm but serious voice. His next call was to a charity group he had supported for years. "Create a scholarship for Anna Foster's younger brother. Cover full tuition. Make it a merit-based scholarship in his name. Don't mention me." In the next few days, Fred's plan came together. He arranged to send a box of high-quality art supplies to Anna's apartment. Inside were brushes, paints, and clean white canvases. With them was a handwritten note. Its edges were slightly smudged, like he had held it too tightly. "Anna, I know my words can't fix what I did, but I hope this gift helps. Your art should be seen. Your dreams matter. You deserve more than the trouble I brought. I'm sorry for everything. I admire your strength more than you know." Anna came home from the diner that evening and found the box at her door. She opened it slowly. Her breath caught when she saw what was inside. The brushes were soft, the canvases clean and perfect. But it was the note that made her stop. She read it once, then again. Her feelings moved between anger, confusion, and something she couldn't name. The next day, her younger brother called her. His voice was shaking from excitement. "Anna, I got a scholarship. Full tuition. It's amazing. I don't know how it happened." Anna smiled through the phone. She felt proud of him, but also suspicious. The timing was too perfect. Later that week, she got a letter from the bank. It said her father's debts had been paid off. Anna's hands shook as she read it. She put the clues together. Fred's money, his guilt, and now these quiet gifts. It had to be him. She was still hurt, but something else was growing too. She saw that Fred wasn't trying to be a hero. He wasn't asking for thanks or forgiveness. He just wanted to help make things right. Anna picked up the note again. She read it one more time, then folded it and placed it in her drawer. For the first time since the blog post, she sat at her easel. She dipped a new brush into bright paint. As she painted, her thoughts quieted. Her hand moved steadily, bringing color to canvas. That same evening, Fred walked through his penthouse, pacing. He didn't know if Anna would ever forgive him, but it was enough to know he had helped her in some way. Anna looked at the half-finished painting in front of her. The colors were strong and alive. She glanced at Fred's note. She realized now it wasn't about fixing things. It was about her. Even with the pain still fresh, something inside her softened. Meanwhile, Fred sat in a big meeting room at Horizon Tech. The board members around him looked worried. The head of PR cleared his throat. "Fred," he said carefully, "the blog post is making waves. Investors are worried about how this could hurt the company's image." Fred leaned back in his chair. His face was calm, but his jaw was tight. "What kind of damage are we talking about?" he asked. A woman on the board replied, her tone more serious. "The article makes you look careless and fake. If people believe it, it could hurt our business." "I'm handling it," Fred said. His voice was strong. "And to be clear, the article is full of lies. I plan to speak publicly and set the record straight." The room went quiet. Fred could still feel their doubt, but he knew actions meant more than words. Later that night, Fred sat in his office. A folder was open in front of him. His private investigator had done a full search. The report showed where the blog post came from, and there he was, Peter, the man who had mocked him outside Anna's apartment. Fred stared at the photo, his anger rising. "Peter," he muttered, knowing this wasn't just gossip. It was personal. Peter had written the article out of hate, trying to ruin Fred and hurt Anna. Fred closed the folder with a snap. If Peter wanted a fight, he would get one. Fred stepped up to a podium, his hands holding the edges tightly. Cameras flashed. Journalists filled the room, waiting to hear his side of the story. The air was full of questions, doubt, and curiosity. UT Fred was ready to speak, not just for himself, but for Anna too. Fred adjusted the microphone. He didn't look like his usual calm self. This time, he looked open, even a little nervous. He looked down at the notes he had written, but they didn't feel right anymore. He took a deep breath, put the notes aside, and looked straight at the crowd. "I won't lie about what happened these past few weeks," Fred said. His voice was steady, but you could hear the emotion in it. "Yes, I made mistakes. I hid who I really was. I lied to someone who didn't deserve that. Anna Foster." The crowd murmured, but Fred waited for silence before speaking again. "What I did was wrong," he continued. "I was scared. I thought my money and success would get in the way of a real connection. Anna is the most honest person I've ever met. I didn't want her to see me as just a rich man, so I pretended to be someone else." He paused, the truth feeling heavy. "But by hiding who I was, I hurt the bond I was trying to build. I hurt her, and I am truly sorry for that." Fred's voice grew stronger as he looked directly at the cameras. He wasn't just speaking to the press. He was speaking to Anna, hoping she was watching. "Anna Foster is strong. She's kind. She works hard to support her family. She gave up her own dreams so her brother could have his. She's been through things I can't even imagine, but she never lost her kindness. She's never lost her dignity." He leaned closer to the microphone. "The things people have said about her are lies, cruel lies. Anna is not a gold digger. She didn't know who I was, and she didn't care. She saw a man who needed help, and she helped me, even when she didn't have much herself." Fred's voice softened. He sounded real, and even a little broken. "I've let her down in many ways, but I won't let her down now. She deserves better than lies and rumors. She deserves respect. She deserves an apology, from me, and from everyone who doubted her." For a moment, the room was silent. Then, the reporters began writing quickly. Fred stepped back from the podium, his heart beating fast. He had said everything. Now, he could only hope it made a difference. Across town, Anna sat on her couch. She held the remote tightly as she watched Fred on the screen. Her heart ached as he spoke. She could see how honest he was. When Fred talked about her strength, and the things she had done for her family, she felt something stir inside. She didn't forgive him yet, but she felt something change. The screen showed news experts talking about Fred's speech. They called it honest, real, and brave. Anna saw how the story was changing. Fred's words were breaking down the lies Peter had told. Anna turned off the television. Her thoughts were spinning. She picked up Fred's note again and read it. The pain was still there, but so was the memory of what Fred had done. He helped her family without asking for anything. He gave her art supplies. He paid off her father's debt. And he never asked for credit. For the first time in weeks, Anna let herself believe that maybe, just maybe, Fred had meant every word. She folded the note and put it away. Her thoughts weren't clear yet, but as she looked at her unfinished painting, she felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. That weekend, there was an event at the local gallery. It was small, but warm and welcoming. The white walls glowed under soft lights. Anna stood near the entrance, playing with the edge of her cardigan nervously. Around her, guests moved slowly between the paintings and frames, talking quietly as they looked at the art. Every painting felt like a part of Anna, honest, deep, and personal. This was her first art show, the result of weeks spent pouring her feelings onto each canvas. She felt scared and excited at the same time. For a long time, Anna only painted at home. Her art was private. Now it was out in the open, where strangers could see it and judge it. But seeing her paintings hanging in the gallery, in a room full of warmth and interest, gave her pride she hadn't felt in years. As she walked around the room, saying hello to people and answering questions about her art, Anna noticed a familiar figure at the back of the gallery. Fred. He stood away from the crowd, his hands in his pockets, his eyes focused on one of her big paintings, a sunrise over a quiet lake. His face showed no clear emotion, but he looked at the painting with deep focus. Her chest tightened. At first, Anna wanted to walk away. She didn't think she was ready to see him. Not here, not now. But as the moment passed, she found herself walking toward him. Her heart beat faster with every step. Fred saw her coming and stood up straighter. He looked hopeful but unsure. "Anna," he said softly. His voice was almost lost in the quiet noise around them. "Fred," she answered, her voice careful. She stopped a few steps away, crossing her arms loosely. "You're here. I didn't want to miss this," he said, motioning toward the painting. "Your art is amazing. It's powerful." Anna looked at him closely. She searched for any sign he wasn't being honest, but she didn't see any. He looked just like he did during the press conference. How real. "Why did you really come?" she asked. Fred sighed, and his shoulders dropped a little. "Because I needed to see this, to see you, and because I wanted you to know how much I admire what you've done, not just your art, but everything. You're strong. You're kind. You've inspired me more than I can explain." Anna felt the anger inside her begin to weaken. It was replaced by something softer, a quiet hurt. "You hurt me, Fred. You lied to me. You made me question what we had." "I know," Fred said, his voice full of regret. "And I'll carry that regret as long as you want. But I've been trying, Anna. I'm not trying to win you back. I just wanted to do the right thing, because you deserve that." Anna looked away from him and at the painting next to them. It showed a person standing alone on a dock, looking at the endless sky and water. It was exactly how she felt, stuck between staying safe or going into something uncertain. "I saw your press conference," she said finally. "It meant something. Hearing you admit what you did, taking the blame, it mattered." Fred's face softened. Hope appeared in his eyes. "Does that mean you'll give me a chance to show that it wasn't just words?" Anna waited. Her feelings were still all mixed up, but as she looked around the gallery, the place she had dreamed of, and saw the people there for her, she realized something. Fred had helped make this happen. He hadn't tried to be a hero. He had quietly supported her. "I don't know if I can trust you yet," she said honestly. Her voice was strong. "But I'm willing to try." Fred nodded. He looked relieved. "That's all I can ask for." They stood quietly for a moment. The heavy feeling of the last few weeks slowly lifted. Then Anna pointed to another painting, a colorful one, that looked like it was full of movement. "Come on, let me show you this one." Fred walked beside her, his steps lighter than they had been in weeks. For the first time, Fred felt a small bit of hope. Maybe the bridge between them wasn't fully broken. Maybe, just maybe, they could rebuild it. As Anna talked about the painting, her voice calm and sure, Fred listened closely. She also felt a small hope, a thought that maybe second chances were worth trying. After the art show, Fred asked Anna to visit his office. He had spent days thinking about it. His world was very different from Millie's diner or Anna's art gallery. But now, with their connection slowly healing, Fred knew it was time to show her the truth. As Anna stepped into the tall glass elevator at Horizon Tech, she felt nervous. The shiny marble floors, silver walls, and quiet working sounds made everything feel serious and a little scary. Fred stood beside her, hands in his pockets, looking confident, but she could see the tension in his shoulders. The elevator doors opened to the top floor. Fred's office was huge, with big windows showing the whole city. Anna walked in slowly, her eyes wide. She looked around at the modern furniture, the clean space, and the awards on the wall. "This is your life," Anna said quietly. Her voice was full of wonder, but also hesitation. Fred nodded. He walked to the window and looked out at the city. "Yes, years of work, long nights and stress. This is what I thought I wanted." Anna stepped closer. She looked at him, not the view. "But it's not enough, is it?" Fred gave a small smile and shook his head. "Not even close." They stood in silence for a moment. Then Fred turned to her. His face was open and honest. "I wanted you to see this, not to impress you, but to show you the real me. The part I tried to hide because I was afraid you'd see me differently." Anna crossed her arms. Her eyes were steady. "I don't care about this," she said, waving at the fancy office. "I care about you, Fred. The one who makes mistakes but tries to fix them. The one who sees me." Fred felt his heart tighten. He nodded slowly. "That's the person I want to be, for you. And I want to help you become the person you're meant to be." He motioned for her to follow. He led her to another window on the other side of the office. From there, the city looked wide and alive. He pointed to a small spot in the distance. "That's Millie's," he said softly. "Where it all began." Anna leaned closer, a little smile on her lips. "It feels like that was forever ago. For me, it feels like the start of something I didn't know I needed," Fred said. Then he turned to her. His voice was gentle. "And I want to give you the same. A new beginning. A chance to build the life you've always wanted." Anna looked confused. Fred reached into his coat and took out a small envelope. He handed it to her. Her hands shook a little as she opened it. Inside was a lease, a rental paper with her name on it. The address was for a bright, open art studio in the middle of the city. "Fred," she began, her voice breaking. "I'm not doing this to pay you back or fix what I broke," Fred said quickly. "I'm doing it because you deserve it. Your art deserves a home. Your dreams should come true." Anna's eyes filled with tears. She looked at Fred, and his eyes were kind and honest. "You didn't have to do this." "I know," Fred said softly. "But I wanted to." Anna felt the wall around her heart fall. For the first time in weeks, she stepped forward and hugged him tightly. Her arms wrapped around him, and she let herself feel it, the meaning of his gift, his words, and the quiet way he was trying to make things right. That evening, Anna stood in her new studio. The room was clean and full of sunlight. The big windows let in golden light that touched the smooth floor. She walked to the middle of the room, where a brand new easel waited, the one Fred had delivered. She set out her brushes and paints, taking a deep breath. This was hers. Truly hers. For the first time in months, she felt lighter. Fred had made mistakes, but he had also helped her find a way forward. She dipped her brush into a bright blue and started painting. Every stroke was strong and full of purpose. For the first time in a long time, Anna felt something wonderful growing in her heart, hope. This was the beginning of something new. As Anna stepped back to look at the first painting in her new studio, she thought of Fred and how he had helped her in quiet, kind ways. She didn't know what would happen next between them, but she was ready to move forward. The evening sun filled Anna's art studio with soft gold and orange light. The warm glow touched the edges of her colorful paintings. People slowly walked in, their faces lighting up when they saw the cozy and welcoming space. The studio used to be only a dream. Now it was real, a sign of Anna's hard work and Fred's quiet help. Anna stood near the door, smoothing the skirt of her simple but pretty dress. Laughter and talking filled the room, mixing with soft classical music playing in the background. Her paintings lined the walls. Each one showed her story, full of deep feeling and hope. This was her special moment. Still, it all felt a bit too big and emotional to take in. Her younger brother, Ben, came to her side, smiling brightly. "This place is amazing, Anna," he said with pride in his voice. "You really did it." Anna smiled and wrapped an arm around him. "We did it, Ben. I couldn't have done it without you." Ben paused and looked across the room. Fred was standing quietly, talking to a few guests. Ben's voice lowered, and without him, Anna followed his eyes. Her heart squeezed a little. Fred had been behind so much of her success. Even after everything, he had supported her in ways she never saw coming. Ben stood up straighter, his usual playful look replaced with something more serious. "I should thank him." Anna watched as Ben walked across the room through the crowd and stopped in front of Fred. Fred turned and smiled warmly when he saw him. "Mr. Matthews," Ben said, reaching out his hand. "Thank you for the scholarship. You gave me a real chance to follow my dreams." Fred shook his hand with a kind smile. "No need to thank me, Ben. You earned it. I just wanted to make sure you had what you needed to succeed." Ben nodded, clearly thankful. "It means a lot to me, and to Anna. You've done more than you know." Fred glanced at Anna, who was watching them with quiet emotion. "It's worth it," he said simply. As the night went on, the celebration grew with laughter, kind words, and joy that filled every part of the studio. Millie, the diner's owner, arrived with a tray of pastries. They quickly became the most popular treat at the table. Friends, family, and supporters chatted, sharing stories about Anna's journey and her success as an artist. Fred stayed in the background most of the evening. As always, he didn't need the spotlight. He let Anna shine, but his eyes followed her through the room. She looked confident and happy, more than ever before. Seeing her surrounded by her work and her loved ones made him care for her even more. As the crowd grew smaller, Fred walked over to Anna with a glass of champagne in his hand. "Congratulations," he said gently. "Tonight is all about you." Anna smiled, her cheeks a little pink. "I couldn't have done it without you." Fred shook his head. "You could have, but I'm glad I got to be part of it." They stood quietly for a moment, both feeling the peaceful joy of the evening. Then Fred looked toward the far wall. His eyes stopped on a large painting, a sunrise over a calm lake, full of bright and powerful colors. It was the same painting he had admired at her art show. It showed the hope and the struggles of her story. "I wanted to do something special tonight," Fred said. His voice was softer now. "Something that shows how much you mean to me." Anna tilted her head, her curiosity rising. "What is it?" she asked. Fred set his glass down and reached into his pocket. He pulled out a small velvet box. His eyes were full of emotion as he got down on one knee. "Anna," he began, his voice steady, even though he felt so much inside. "You've changed my life. You showed me what it means to open my heart, to care deeply, and to create something real. I've made mistakes, but every step has led me here, to you. Will you marry me?" The room went quiet. Anna gasped, her hand covering her mouth. Her eyes filled with tears as she looked down at Fred. His face was full of love and hope. Slowly, she nodded. "Yes," she whispered. The quiet room, filled with loud cheers and clapping as Fred gently placed the ring on her finger. He stood up and pulled Anna into a warm hug. In that moment, they both felt closer than ever. Later that evening, after all the guests had gone, Fred and Anna stood alone in the studio. The lights were low, and the city lights outside shone softly through the big windows. Fred smiled and reached out his hand. "Dance with me?" Anna laughed quietly and took his hand. They swayed slowly to the soft music, still playing in the background. Their steps were calm and gentle. As they danced, Anna's eyes moved to a plaque on the wall, one Fred had put up earlier that day. The light hit the words just right, "Inspire and be inspired." Anna rested her head on Fred's chest. Her heart felt full. For the first time in a long while, she didn't feel the heavy weight of her past. This wasn't just a fresh start. It was the life she had always hoped for, a life filled with love, dreams, and endless chances to grow. Together, they had found their place. A life built on strength, hope, and the courage to begin again. Did this story touch your heart? Please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more emotional and meaningful stories. Leave a comment below and tell us what you think. Do you believe in second chances and true love? Share this video with someone who needs hope today. Together, let's keep spreading kindness and inspiration. See you in the next story.